Hi, hello, good morning, my dear students. Welcome to the chemistry class. So, in the last classes, we have begun the very interesting and somewhere typical concept, that is thermodynamics. Here, this chapter is very much important and it is very enjoyable when you understood the basic concepts. So, basic concept you can't able to understand better way means definitely you are going to feel not interested in this chapter. So that's why I will go very slowly for your convenience purpose. Why? Because I am not bothered about how much video, how much time we take to convince you. So why? Because if we are explaining means whatever I am explaining, that should be moved towards you and it has to be saved in your mind. So until the examination point of view. So next, if you have remember means it's your good luck. So let's begin thermodynamics. So we are going to study here how the heat is exchanging in a state, means in a system and surrounding. So I said there are three types: open system, closed system, and isolated system. So I hope you remember that thing. In boundary, there are two types of the boundaries. Not two, more than two is there, but we are going to study that in detail in the next classes onwards. But I would like to just inform you such kind of the boundary. So I say to you, a system, if that containing some materials are there, if we are having some materials, this material, if we are talking about this material, then we are going to call this as a system. This as a system. And apart from this one, apart from this system which we are observing, that is called as surrounding. That is called as surrounding. The system and surrounding, these are separated by the line boundary, that is called as boundary. That is separated by the boundary. Here, can you see in this beaker? It seems to be a beaker. Means just like a glass. So here, can you see the glass? Inside the glass, system is there. Outside the glass, whichever the air or some materials or some space are there, we are going to call that as a surrounding. So here, surrounding is nothing but it is apart from the system. Whereas here we are going to call this boundary. Can you be able to see? We can able to touch this one. So this is the real boundary. This is called as real boundary. Real boundary. Whereas can you see here the materials is up to here. Above here it is open here. There is no space. We are not closed by any of the vessels. It's open. So it means what is the boundary here? We may say this is the boundary, or can you see the air is present above to this liquid component or above this system. Here airs are here. Surrounding everything is here. Means here up to the system is in this layer. Above this layer we can say this is also surrounding. Means here also one boundary is there, but that boundary is not visible. Such kind of boundaries are called as imaginary boundary. Such kind of boundaries are called as imaginary boundary. Imaginary boundary. Look here, no one is going to ask you what is real, what is imaginary boundary. But these are necessary to understand the further concepts. For that reason, you have to remember this one. This is real boundary, this is imaginary boundary. One more boundary will come. Can you see? This is the thing that it is a glass. This is the glass. If we are having the hot water in this glass, that hot water, we may feel that hotness in the outside also. Means that heat is transfers. That heat is transfers from system to the surrounding. Means heat is transferable in the some of the boundaries. In a real boundary, in real boundary the heat is transferable. So if you are holding a cup which containing a hot water, or the hot tea, that heat is transfers from system to the surrounding. Whereas in some of the container, if it is inside the hot water or tea is there, but if we are not feeling the hotness in the outside, just like in isolated system. In the isolated system, the heat is not transferring from system to the surrounding. In this condition, the wall which is present between the system and surrounding, such kind of wall we are going to call that as adiabatic what? Adiabatic boundary or adiabatic wall. Wall is nothing but the boundary. So here adiabatic is nothing but what? Here there is no heat is exchanged. Heat is not exchanging. Here Q is nothing but what? Heat. We are going to call heat is nothing but by the symbol Q. There is no heat is transfers from system to the surrounding through some of the boundary. Such kind of boundaries are called as adiabatic boundary or adiabatic wall. So here you have to remember real boundary, imaginary boundary, and adiabatic boundary or adiabatic walls we are going to call. So here after this one, so here we have discussed there are three types of the system, that is closed, open, and isolated system. And in the boundary, we are not going to call this as the three kinds of the classification. Why? Because these are necessary to explain the further things. At that time, I can't able to say, see here, this is one of the boundary, I can't able to say. But based on that, if I explain this, you should have in your mind. It is also a kind of boundary only, but which is not visible, but it is an imaginary boundary, isn't it? So here, thermodynamic, how it is changing, how we are having the application means, the thermodynamic, how it is variable in a system and surrounding, particularly in any of the reaction that can be expressed by some of the terms. Those terms are nothing but we are going to call that as a states of matter. States of matter means here we are having state functions. State functions are nothing but these are going to be derived. What is the change in the thermodynamic? Thermodynamic is nothing but what? Think that I am having some of the reactors here. I am having one reactor, and after some time it may have some changes. We can't say this is a reactant product. Why? Because we are not going to take the reactions here. But we are having some changes. Changes is nothing but initially some of the container, it is having liquid or something. Initially, whatever the component is having, if it is gas means obviously it will have pressure, and it will be having temperature, and it will be having the volume. Temperature, pressure, volume. Initially how it is, and after some time how it will be the gases. What about the pressure? How much whether it increases or decreases? What about the temperature and what about the volume? So initially pressure, initial temperature, initial volume we are going to take as a P1, T1, V1, and after some time if any pressure is changed means obviously temperature and volume will change. If volume changes means the remaining content also changes. The initial state is called as P1, T1, V1, and final state is called as P2, T2 and V2. These are the two conditions. Here the state functions are nothing but some of the terms. These are the function. These are also called as variables. These variables are going to suggest us to consider what is the difference in the initial position to the final position. From initial state, what is the pressure, temperature, volume, and after some time, what happens to the pressure, what happens to the volume, how the pressure, whether it is increased or decreased, that can be observed by some of the variables, some of the function. Those functions are called as state function. Here state functions are nothing but generally we are having pressure, temperature, volume. These are called as a state function. These are going to suggest us or help us to be calculate or observe the variables or changes in the initial and the final state. So this is called as state function. So here state function is responsible only for the change in the initial state. Change in the initial state and the final state. It never bothered about the intermediate, how the initial to final is happened, in what path the changes is taken place. It is not bothered. So here the state function is going to give us a information. Initially what is the pressure, temperature, volume, and finally what is the pressure, temperature, volume. So initial and final. Only at this condition, what will be the effect in these three terms, that will be explained by the state function. State functions are nothing but here we are going to discuss only about the changes in pressure, temperature, volume in the initial state, in the final state. So here state functions is going to have the comparison between in the initial position and in the final position, how the initial is changed to the final, how it is changes. It is not going to explain about the path, how it is changed to the initial to final. It's not going to explain. It's going to explain only about the initially what is the function and at the final what is the functional values are. So based on this difference we are going to use the state function. Actually apart from this one we are having one more, that is called as path function, but in the textbook you can't be able to observe this word path function. Path function is nothing but it's going to explain or give us suggestions to us to calculate or to have a look about how the initial is changed to the final, by what variable, in what path it is transferred, that is called as path function. So that is called as path function. So for your kind information, if you are feeling that it's not understanding, I will give you very best example here. Think that here you are having the home. This is your home, very lovely sweet home, and here you are having the Fatima College. Fatima College. I hope you all are the college students, no? If not, means keep in your mind, because soon after finishing the high school you are not enjoying the college life. Don't worry, soon you are going to have that enjoyment. Look here, there is a one path to transfer from home to the college. Home to the college, isn't it? But if you are moving in another path, here, not it is Fatima, one friend is there, means behind your home, one friend whom is there, means you wish to go to the college by him or her, along with him. Then what you are going to do? You are going to take a round path. So by pick up your friend, can you see here? This is your path. You are going to go to the college, means you are coming to the college through pickupping, means by a round circle, means you are having a larger distance. Can you see here? This path is also going to reach you the Fatima College only. This path is also going to reach you the Fatima College only. Here, your parents means father and mother. These are going to observe in which path you are going to move to the college. Are you getting? So here, if you are moving to the college from the home, from here to here means, so father will think, if you are coming by the vehicle means you need only less amount of the petrol, isn't it? If the number of petrols, or if you are having the petrol consumption is more, means your father will like, yes, so in which path you are going, isn't it? They will ask you. So if the time required from your home to the Fatima College is hardly 15 minutes, if you are taking more than half an hour, means your mom is going to ask you, why you are getting this much of late, in which path you are going. He will ask you. So certainly it is, isn't it? You might have observed this kind of the situation in your high school levels. So it means that your parents, means either father or mother, these are going to ask you in which path you are going to the college, isn't it? So why? Because they are having that responsibility. So here father and mother are going to ask you in which path you are going. So path functions can be nothing but this is the parent function. Parents function, they are responsible, they are going to ask you the in which path you are coming. But being a teacher, what is our rule? But my condition is I am going to take the attention. I am not bothered about in which path you are coming. But only I am going to think about, if college is there at 8 o'clock, you should be here at 8 o'clock, and up to the college you have to be here with your friends. How you are coming, I am not thinking about in which path you are coming. I am not bothered about that one. But my condition is you have to be here in my college, in my timetable, isn't it? And when I left the college, I am not thinking in which path you are going. Why? Because my work is done here, isn't it? So same thing here. State function is nothing but it's a function of teachers means we are going to think about the initial and final. Have you attended the beginning prayer? Means you are attended for the first class, that's enough. We are coming at the last and we are observing. Are you there for the up to the last class? Then fine, it's okay. Come to the next tomorrow. How you are coming? Why should we think of that? Means the role of teacher is it acts as a state function. Initially, are you there? And up to the final last class, are you there? This is what we are going to observe here. We are not bothered about the how we are came and how you are moving to your home. Means state function is nothing but teacher role. Means the state function is going to give you only the initial and final positions variables, whereas path function is going to discuss it as a parent. Parent is nothing but here path function will derive you how the you are going to reach to the college by your home, in which path you are following, so that they need to think. Why? Because your mom is going to ask you your consumption of time is more, and your father is going to ask you the consumption of petrol is more. For what purpose you are using that one, isn't it? So here state function is responsible for the initial and final positions only, whereas the path function is responsible for the path how you are changing here. If you are taking this path means within a less consumption of petrol you are moving, you are reaching to the college. If you are moving by via your friend route, then you are going to have the more number of time and more petrol is consumed. So isn't it? So here also in the state functions for initial and final, whereas in the path it's going to be explained if the reactant is formed as a final, means reactant to the product, means some changes are happened, how they are having the changes, what are the criteria here changed for changing the initial and to the final. This will be discussed by the path function. Here in the path function, I say you in the state function the number of teachers are more, isn't it? That's why here pressure, temperature, volumes are there. Pressure, temperature, volume, and it is initial values and these are the final value. Whereas in the path, as I said, the parents, mother and father, only these two will be there. Don't say my sister will take care of me and we will add that one. It's not possible here. So you have to think this one. In the path function means there are two conditions. One is work, another one is heat. Heat is nothing but what? Q. W is nothing but work. Q is nothing but heat. Just to make you to understand in a better way, I am explaining with the help of teachers, with the help of parents. So don't get angry. Oh, sir is telling my father is working, and don't get angry. Just enjoy this one. Why? Because you can able to remember this one up to the end of this whole chapter. That's right. Because if you understand this one, means it will be the easy concept for you in the thermodynamics. Otherwise, it will feel very difficult. So look here. In the path function, there are two terms are there. As I said, parents. Parents are nothing but one is father and one is mother. Here, father work is what? To do the work. He has to do the work. Father work is to do the work. Means father has to work, isn't it? So if you are moving by via your friend route, means your father will tell you, वही बेटा वैसा क्यों कर रहे हैं, मैं काम करता हूँ, तुम तो ಏನಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ಡಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀರಿ, ಹಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ವೈ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ವೇಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟೈಮ್. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು, isn't it? I am working for your purpose. You also do the work by studying. It's also a kind of work. They will suggest you, isn't it? The same thing here also. Means who is going to work? Your father is going to work here. He work here. But your mother is going to be a heat. Heat is something, but he is going to be angry on you. वहाँ क्यों जाता, क्यों उसे क्यों पिकअप करता, उन्हें क्या देता तुझे, पूछते रहते हैं ना. ये कॉमन टर्म है. ಅಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿದ್ವಿ, ಅವನ್ನ ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಏನಿತ್ತು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೆಲಸ, ಅವನ ಜೊತೆ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಕೆಲಸ. ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ ಕಾಮನ್ ವರ್ಕ್, isn't it? Mother is going to be get angry, and in another way she is going to prepare you some food that is not a cold food, it's a hot and fresh, full energetic food. So it means that the mother is going to prepare a food, or she is going to become angry on you. For that reason, Keep in your mind, father is nothing but work, mother is nothing but heat, angry, she is going to be angry. So it means that for some of the parents they may have some reverse. So don't worry, for mind convenient to make it easy, that's why I am explaining. So here father is nothing but he is going to work here, and mother is going to what? He is going to be angry, that is heat. So only based on these two terms, the path function is derived. Path function is derived on the basis of, not on the basis of pressure, temperature, volume here. Here, state functions are depends on pressure, temperature, volume. So initially, what is the pressure, temperature, volume? After some time, what will be there in the final position of pressure, temperature, volume? If we are talking only about the initial and final, then it is going to relate the state function. We are going to call that as a state function. In the path function here, we are going to discuss what are the condition or criteria we have to look at the changes made in initial to the final. Why it is changed? Why the initial position is changed to the some other final position? What was the work we are doing? How it is changing? What is the reason for the pressure is varying? What is the reason for the temperature is changing? How the volume is changed? To look at these conditions, we have to observe the two terms here. Why? Because path function में हुआ था, that is for the father and mother. Here work and heat, these are the two conditions we have to look at. Because of these two conditions, path function is varies. Here work and heat. Look here, I would like to remove this father and mother. Thank you mother, father and mother, for the order. Surprise visiting to understand the concept to our children, isn't it? So here we are going to end the explanation with the help of parents and teachers. Look here, you have to remember in this way, path functions are nothing but parents, parents are nothing but father and mother, father is going to work, and mother is going to be angry, that is heat. So here the path function depends on the work and heat. Whereas state functions are nothing but it's a teacher. Teacher is only look at the initial and final. Means pressure, temperature, volumes are undergo. These are called as state functions. So state function में सिर्फ pressure, temperature, volume आता. In path function में work and heat is appearing. So look here. Here we are going to call work is nothing but W. Q is nothing but heat. So whenever we are observing the state function, we are observing only 3. In the path function, we are observing the 2 conditions. In the path function, W, work done. Is it done on the system or by the system? It is the more important here. So work done. So if I am talking about like this is the example. Think that it is some of the gases are there. It is the container in this piston. Most important I am telling here, according to the chemistry, according to me, whenever I am saying the system is nothing but here, the container containing the gas along with the piston, this is called a system. System is nothing but here one glass is there, container. The container is containing the gases. The gases will be having the piston. Externally we are applying the pressure. This is called the system. This is system, isn't it? Look here, if I apply the external pressure here, if I applied means what happens? Volume is decreases, isn't it? Volume is decreases. If the volume is decreases, means pressure will be increases. Why? Because in the last states of matter we have discussed it. So pressure means as we applied the pressure increases, it means that volume is decreasing. So here, if the pressure we are increasing means, it means the pressure is changing, volume is changing, no doubt temperature is also changes. Here we are applying the work, we are doing the work we are doing by surrounding. Can you see here? The system is nothing but this one. The system is not working. The another person means we are doing the work on the system. Here the gaseous molecules are not working. The work is done on the system. Think that this is the system. We are applying the pressure. Means we are doing the work on the system. It means that does it going to lose some of the energy? No. If the work is done on the system, means we are doing the work, but work is not done by the system, isn't it? if work done, if work done by the system or on the system, these are the two conditions here we have to remember. If work done on system means work done on system means W will be the positive. W will be the positive means work is not lost by the system, means I am doing the work, I am applying the some energy, therefore system is not going to lose any of the energy. If I am doing means my energy is going to lose, not the systems, isn't it? If the same thing, if the work done by the system, work done by the system, here by the system is nothing but what if I apply the pressure. Look here, concentrate here, these terms are more important. These will help you to understand the next two videos also. If you are forgotten this one means no one is going to be help you again. Okay, for that reason you have to remember here, this is most important. I said you, this is the system and it's having some piston. If I apply the force means if I done a work by applying the pressure means work done by me means I am the surrounding here. If work done by the surrounding, but we can say that as a work done on the system. On the system I am applying some work means. So here if work done on the system means the work of the system will remain positive, means work done on the system means W we have to show as a positive sign. Same thing here, after applying the pressure, the piston will move to the below, isn't it? The piston will comes here, isn't it? If the piston comes here means the gaseous molecules will be near to each other, isn't it? The gaseous molecules will be near. After some time what happens? The system itself undergo expansion. The expansion. If it undergo the expansion means what happens? The piston is moves to the above. If the piston is moving inside means the work done by me. It means that work done on the system. Then work is considered as a positive. If after applying the some pressure, if pressure is greater, then itself it undergo the some expansion. Means think that I am applying some heat. If I am heating this one by candle or somehow, if I am heated means the gaseous molecules begins to expand. After expansion, what happens? This piston will move to the upward. If it is moving upward means by whom it is moving? If it is moving by expansion of the system, here work is going to done by the system. At that condition we are going to call work done by the system. Then we are going to call minus of the work. Minus W is nothing but here negative sign indicate that if I am working, if I am speaking, if I am louding means loudly I am speaking means my energy is going to lose, isn't it? If I am walking means my energy is going to lose. It means that here work initially work is done on the system means W will be the positive for the system I am telling. If work done by me means work done on the system, then the W is positive. The second one, here after applying the pressure, the piston is going upward on heating. It means the system is undergo the expansion. At that time work done by the system. Means if work done by the system means system is going to lose the energy. At that condition we are going to call W as a minus W, isn't it? So these are the main conditions here. If the work done on the system means positive W, if work done by the system means negative of the W. We have to remember these two conditions. Based on these two conditions, we are going to calculate some other terms. Again here, Q is nothing but heat. Same thing here also. If Q, can you see here? Initially, heat, if the heat means heat, if somebody is donated heat, means if I supplied the heat to the system means that is considered as heat received. If the heat is received by the system, if heat is received by the system means if the system is received the heat, then the Q will be the positive. If system is Q means heat is released by the system. If heat is lost by the system, at that condition we have to call that as a minus Q. This plus Q is nothing but heat is absorbed, minus Q is nothing but heat is lost. Plus W means heat is done, means work done on the system. Minus W indicates that work is done by the system. Here we are going to give the preference for the system. If system receives the heat, then it is plus Q. If system lost the heat, then we have to call that as a minus Q. Why we are thinking about this W and Q? Once again recall yourself, we are discussing about the path function. Actually this path function is not mentioned particularly as a path function in your textbook, but you have to think that state function give only about the initial and final positions, how it is changed, whereas path function is responsible for how a system varies from one condition to the another condition by doing which function? By varying the two, that is work and heat. If work is changed, work is done by whom? On the system or by the system? We have to think of that one. And heat, whether it is lost by the system or gained by the system, that is we have to think. So only these two are the responsible for changing the system from one state to the another state. So that's why if W positive means work done on the system, if W is negative, because work done by the system. Similarly, plus Q indicates that system is receiving the energy, heat is receiving. Minus W indicates that the system is losing the energy, means the heat is releasing, that is called as a minus. So together the internal energy we are going to call that as a U. U is nothing but what? Internal energy. So internal energy is nothing but U, the change in the internal energy. So initial state it is having some work and heat. After some time, by changing the work or changing the heat, change in internal energy. Internal energy we are going to call that as a U is nothing but internal energy. Delta U is nothing but change in the internal energy. Change in the internal energy matlab U2 minus U1. It's not V. You have to write it properly. U is nothing but internal energy. Delta U indicates the change in the internal energy. Initial and final state internal energy. That difference is called as delta U. So here change in the internal energy can be derived by the observing work done and transformation of heat. Work done and transformation of heat. So together it is called as change in the internal energy. If the internal energy is changed means then only the initial and final energy will be changes. How they are going to calculate means the internal energy can be calculated by the change in work and change in heat. If I written W as a positive, Q as a positive, it means that their work done on the system. Q positive means the system is received the heat. If I have written minus Q means it is understood the heat is lost by the system. Why we are discussing this one means let's explain the same thing. The question I am going to take the example for the next explanation until you have to remember the very simple concept. System function, what is the state function, what is the path function, what are the terms here to vary, what are the plus minus of W and Q. You have to remember this one. Do remember, do practice this one. It seems to be very simple, but if I move for the forward, you may have some trouble to understand this one. That's why remember this one, analyze yourself only. Okay, so we'll see the same concept in the next week. Until please do remember this one, don't forget. Okay, have a nice day. We will meet in the next video. Bye.